Morning, guys. I'm enjoying my pipe this morning at a park nearby where I live. Well, actually, it's not. It's Hart Park, and it's quite a few miles actually away from where I live, but it's within the Bakersfield city limits. But it's a wonderful place because it's outside of town, right next to the Kern River, and 150 years ago it was a sheep ranch down here. But at some point, the landowner decided to give this area to the county of Kern, and it was named after a gentleman with the last name Hart. So it's Hart Memorial Park, H-A-R-T. I'm enjoying listening to some geese. They're baby geese. I'll show you a picture of those guys in a minute. I took some footage a few minutes ago. I'm surprised they let me come this close to them because they're within probably 20 feet of where I am. They're pecking in the grass, looking for insects, whatever it is they are looking for. Some coming my direction, honking, looking. Two full-size geese and about 9 or 10 baby or chicks. I'll show you. They're walking by now while looking at me. Here's some other ones close by. There's a group that are leaving. So, a nice place to smoke a pipe. I'm sure if any park rangers go by, they'll come and warn me against smoking. I don't think the ducks mind, or the geese. They're curious, so they're looking at me. Rather menacingly, I might add. Two of them now. Uh-oh. Such a peaceful spot. I decided to come out here this morning, put off my workout and my installation of my security screen door, put those things off for later. But this place has a lot of memories here. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to come out here and have weenie roasts, bicycle rides. On Fridays, when the kids were smaller, we'd come out here and walk some Friday afternoons after school and work. In the evenings, usually. Those are fun days. There's a lake over here, which you probably saw in the earlier footage, that, well, they used to rent boats out at this park. You could rent canoes or paddle boats. And I remember spending quite a bit of time. A couple of squirrels going at it over here. I guess they're playing. Anyway, I've been spending lots of time paddling around this park in paddle boats and in canoes. That was fun. But those are gone now. The concession stand that used to be open by the lake here has been closed for a number of years. This place has an interesting history. In fact, one local historian, his name is Gilbert Gia, he sort of linked about the history of Kern County, and there's a good story that he wrote that I'd like to read someday. It'd be quite long just to read in a video, but I thought about starting a podcast at one point on the history of Kern County and making those available, but I just never did it. I was working at the time and never had time. Perhaps now I can do that. Wow. Still can't believe I'm able to just do this. Come out here and relax, smoke a pipe, listen to the geese, watch all the nature out here. It's really still hard to believe for me that I can actually have the luxury of doing this. Again, I apologize for the angle. I don't mean to have you look at up. Uh-oh. Just see a forest ranger going by. Let me set my pipe aside. There's a park ranger. Oh, good. He kept on going. Anyway, I apologize for the angle. You kind of look at up my nose. Your vantage point is such that you could look up my nose if you so chose, which I know you're not. But I don't have a tripod with me. Actually, I do. It's in the car. I should have gotten that out, right? Next time. kind of a cooler morning. It's 53 degrees. I'm out here in short sleeve shirt and shorts. It will get up into the 70s this afternoon, so it'll be no problem. But for right now, it's a little chilly. We got up to walk this morning at 5, and it was probably about the same temperature. Hasn't changed really. Low 50s. Nice walking weather. A bit chilly to begin with, but I encouraged me to step lively and go faster, which was good. I'll have to show you some other parts of the park in a few minutes here. This has got nothing to do with the park here, but I've been reading or listening to an audio version of Tortilla Flats by John Steinbeck. I've been on a John Steinbeck kick for a few months now. Started with Cannery Row, Travels with Charlie, East of Eden. Now I'm on Tortilla Flats, which is just a very entertaining story about basically 3 or 4 paisanos in the town of Monterey, California, back at in the early 1900s. And basically their goal in life was to get wine. Very comical story, though. All their intrigues. So I'm enjoying that right now. The guy reading the book has a really good narrating voice. I've heard some audiobooks with him before. I don't recall his name, but he has a very, very good voice for those. He's no longer alive. He passed away. He was an older guy. I'm not sure when this book was recorded, but it's been around for a while. But fascinating book. If you like California stuff, I love California history and all that, and this, has quite a bit to do. Apparently, Tortilla Flats was a section of Monterey, California, up in the hills just a bit, where a lot of the poorer residents of that fine town lived back then. Monterey is full of a lot of fish canneries, and it's right on the coast, California coast. It's north of us, about 4 or 5 hours. But we've been there several times, But the book Cannery Row actually is all about that town. Anyway, just a good book. I had to mention it. I've been doing an awful lot of listening, not so much reading. I have been doing some reading, but mostly my books are on audio format because it just allows me to sit and think and listen and smoke my pipe, which is more challenging when you're reading a hardback book or a paperback book, a hardcover, an actual book. Audiobooks are great. You can listen to them when you're exercising or, again, just relaxing. I remember once out here at Hart Park, one of those evenings that I mentioned when we'd come and walk with the kids, we had a white minivan at that time. It was a Mazda, like MVP, I'm not sure. Anyway, we parked it. And we're immediately became the target of hostility by some big white geese who must have been fascinated with the van or just had an utter distaste for the van because they came charging over. We were a little afraid to get out, but we did it. And then getting back in was a challenge because they were still there. We were here for probably an hour, and they were still hanging out around the white van like the great mothership or something. That was funny. We used to go for those walks, like I said, on Friday afternoons, early evenings, and then we'd all load up, get in the car to head home, and we'd stop by a little grocery store that was close to my mom's house back then, and we'd get drinks from the Arizona Tea Company. My favorite was always Mucho Mango. I think my son Spencer liked those too, and I can't remember what the others got, but that was our big treat, a big can of liquid excitement. In fact, I bought a couple of gallons of that stuff years ago, and they come in these really nice heavy-duty plastic 1-gallon jugs. I still have a couple of those. One, I mix up my concoction of Crystal Light pink lemonade and pineapple juice, and the other I use to measure out water for my coffee maker. I have lines with a felt marker correspond with the amount of cups of coffee that I want to make. So that's what I use to fill up my coffee maker. So Mucho Mango. One time my friend Travis was over and we were having dinner, probably on a holiday or something, and I asked him what he wanted to drink. He said, "Oh, that Mucho Mango looks good." So I gave him some, and I didn't think about it being pink. Mucho Mango is kind of an orangish colored drink, but he had a perplexed look on his face because he expected something of the mango persuasion, none of the pink lemonade with pineapple persuasion. So I had to explain the whole thing to him. Yeah, I'm just too whatever to put this in a picture. Instead, I prefer using the Mucho Mango container because, first of all, when you put in all your water, packets of lemonade and pineapple juice, you can shake with such veracity as to mix those two up. Much easier than putting them in, stirring with a big wooden stick and all that. So, very practical in my opinion. Uh-oh. More cars or anything that looks like a park ranger, I have to lower my pipe. Well, I've kept you guys for quite a while already. I probably should conclude my sitting here and get home and do some work, but maybe not. My weights are waiting for me in my garage. My security door is also waiting for me in my garage. I decided to get that because, not so much for security, but because I really enjoy having all the windows open. Whenever the weather's nice, like this morning, the house felt stuffy. It was probably 71 or 72 degrees in there. You go outside, it's nice and cool, and the house feels stuffy. So my favorite thing to do is get up, open every single window in the house, and let as much of that in as possible. And I explained to Amy that if we had a front door that we could do the same thing, it would assist us in getting more of that nice, cool air into the house. She was a little worried that it'll make our house look tacky from the front, but I pointed out several other homes in the neighborhood with nice white security screen doors. So she allowed me to purchase it. The problem is I have to install it. And while I've done a couple of those in the past, it's probably been 25 years ago that I put a couple of those on our house we lived in previously. And she's afraid I'll botch it up, make our house look terrible. But I can do it. I actually checked with another guy in the neighborhood who's a handyman, but he was going to charge me $150 for installation. Well, that's what I paid for the screen door, so I refuse to succumb to such temptation. I will do it myself. So I've been watching YouTube videos on installation of security doors, and it doesn't look too complicated. I mean, I remember basically how to do them in the first place, but you got to get your level out there and mount the thing so that it closes freely and doesn't scrape or bang on the other door. I also forgot I need to purchase a new deadbolt and doorknob assembly for that. And of course, then the keys won't match up. So I'll probably swap out one from our back door. I'm watching a park ranger who's across the lake here. My luck, someone will have called 911 because I'm smoking my pipe at a public park. Kind of like the person that called 911 when I was swerving on the way to the coast. I don't see him working his way around, so perhaps he'll leave me alone. I hope you can hear all those geese. I just love that sound. Now, if you come out to this place on a Saturday in the afternoon, it's not like this at all. Well, at least when I've driven out here, this used to be a hangout in the 60s. Kids would come out in the park and hang out, That was the hippie era, 60s and 70s. They would cruise the park with their automobiles and, impress each other. They're not allowed to do that anymore, but it gets busy out here on the weekends. So if you come out on a Saturday afternoon, there are a lot of families enjoying picnics, but one problem is that everyone nowadays seems to want to have their music up loud. So if you come out here, the last time I came through, several picnickers and their friends had a lot of loud music going. So maybe they don't, I'm sure it's not technically legal to do that, but I'm not sure how they enforce that. I guess maybe by cruising around in park ranger vehicles, maybe that's kept to a minimum. But anyway, it's not quite the peaceful, serene place like it is on a nice Thursday morning as today. I keep looking for that park ranger, but I'm not seeing him, so maybe he's gone. I guess the worst he can do is come up and ask me to stop smoking my pipe and leave. This is just a basket pipe. The brand is I don't know, Hanseatic or something. It's a German-made pipe. I remember that from when I got it. It was a basket pipe. I think I paid $30 or $40 for it, but it's a really nice pipe. I like the color and it smokes well. I just have some Prince Albert in it this morning. If you haven't checked out Pipe with a Therapist, that channel is very good. He did a nice little chat on Prince Albert a couple days ago, and that was very interesting. I had no idea, but I am glad that Prince Albert at least got a tobacco named after him. He was quite a fellow. Passed away fairly early, but he was, boy, he got a lot of things done in the short time that he was alive. Well, he died, I think, in his 40s, but that's pretty young, especially when you're 62. It's almost like a kid. Of course, mentally, I feel like a kid still. Keep looking for that park ranger. But my body says otherwise at times. Well, I appreciate you hanging on. I've not said anything profound or overly interesting, just chatting. And I appreciate you spending the time with me this morning, especially if you stuck through the whole thing. That's a big commitment. So thank you for doing that, friends. And I guess I'll let you go for now. I'll finish up my pipe here and get on to more industrious things, perhaps, for my day, or maybe not. But I'll check in with you guys later. Take care and God bless. Bye.